So every year I teach this class, I debate whether or not to present this lesson because usually at this point, um, you're doing okay with compound interest and kind of have an idea of what's going on. But there is a formula out there. There's not some little troll sitting in a closet that calculates your interest every single month. There's a formula that the numbers just get plugged into and it spits out the answer. And that's what I'd like to show you guys how to use today. It looks pretty scary at first, but once you start seeing the numbers get plugged in, it clears up pretty quickly. From an algebra standpoint, this thing has a whole bunch of variables. So when I switch the screen here and you actually see the formula, there's a whole bunch of letters, but we're going to replace the letters with numbers, and it really is just a punching on a calculator. I would encourage you to use an actual calculator if you have one, simply because some of the stuff we're going to do with exponents gets kind of wonky if you're trying to use the calculator on your cell phone. So what this formula does is it kind of works around all the different calculations you're doing. If you look at that, the very first question on your assignment yesterday, you calculated the compound interest for 2 years quarterly. So you had to do 8 separate calculations to get from the start to the finish of those 2 years. This formula, it's one set of numbers and boom, you're done. So bear with me, okay? So here's the formula. It's pretty gross. The breakdown of it, I mean, there's 5 different variables here. Each variable is something different, but just let me explain here. The first part of this, the A, this is how much money's in the bank at the end of the time we're talking about. So this is actually what we're calculating. Okay, so that's not really a variable that we have to worry about. That's our answer, A for answer. A lot of this stuff is going to sound familiar though. So P, that's your principal. That's the dollar amount that's getting put in the bank. So I'm going to put that out to the side here. That's your dollar amount. R is your interest rate, your percent, but again, change it to a decimal like we've been doing. T is time in years again. So the one that's kind of new is N. That is how many times a year they sit down and calculate your interest. And I'm sticking to what we've been doing. It's either going to be quarterly or monthly. So that N value is either going to be 4 or 12. And today it's just 4. All of these I'm going to give you today are quarterly calculations. Okay, so every 3 months, somebody's going to sit down and do the math for you. All right. So today, I'm stressing that today, our number of times compounded is going to be 4 quarterly. Every 3 months, 4 times a year, this is going to get done. All right. So how we set these up, okay? I think it might just be easier to do one. We're going to calculate that A answer, that total amount at the end. Ed has invested $2,000 at 5% interest compounded quarterly for 2 years. So I know the formula. I have it memorized. It's in my head. If I were you, you might want to stop, write this down on a sheet of paper so you can refer back to it without having to pause the video and go back and pause the video and go back. So principal 1 plus, and instead of N over T as a fraction, I'm going to do it N divided by T. You'll see why in a second. And then on the calculator, you're going to be looking for the caret key. This isn't right. I screwed that up. I said I had it memorized and then I goofed it up. It's your percentage rate divided by the number of times compounded. And then you're going to find the little caret key on your calculator. And that is the number of times compounded again times time. Okay? I'm going to fill in those 5 blanks with 4 numbers because the N gets used twice. So Ed invests $2,000. And I'll explain what the 1 is for here in a minute, but it's built into the formula. His interest rate is 5%, so 0.05. That's compounded quarterly. And then I need an exponent. Quarterly times 2 years. So basically, if you think about yesterday, we did quarterly for 2 years. You had to do 8 separate calculations. that's what this exponent part is doing, is it's setting it up to be done 8 times for you. But since it's a formula, it's going to be done 8 times all at once, which I think is kind of cool. So this is a straight punch in on a calculator. Parentheses, everything. So 2000, open your parenthesis, 1 plus 0.05 divided by 4, close your parentheses, find your exponent key. If you don't know where that's at on your calculator, let me know. If you're using the calculator on your cell phone, it's kind of freaky in there, but it does exist. It's just not the best. So I've set this up and already worked it out. At the end of 2 years, Ed has $2,208.97. If you've had me for algebra, we did this at the beginning of the year. I might actually throw that video in here too, in case you want to watch that one, because it's just some more examples. It goes a little bit more into like the different types of, quarterly, monthly, semi-monthly, bi-monthly, just different. But for this class, we're going to stick to quarterly or monthly. Louisa Foster invested $4,500, so that is her principal. What the 1 in the formula does is it keeps track of the original investment. Back here on this last example, our answer at the end was $2,208.97. That includes the original $2,000. So this investment only made $208.97. You take the 1 out of the formula and it calculates just the answer, basically. All right, so my interest is 3%, so 0.03, compounded quarterly. And then my exponent here is quarterly again times 3 years. Again, that exponent, 4 times 3 is 12. It's doing 12 calculations all at once for you. All right, $4,500 times 1 plus 0.03 divided by 4, exponent of 12. That investment returns $4,922.13. Again, that includes the original $4,500. I know that this is a lot. Especially if you look at what we've been doing this year, it's basic arithmetic, adding, subtracting, and I'm throwing you this 5 variable formula. Just try it. The homework's super short. Try setting them up. Try typing them in on your calculator. And, the sooner you guys get back to me, the sooner I know if we can move on or if we need to kind of beat our heads on this one for a while.